Hi, I'm Stan Lee. You know, Whilce Portacio has been working at Marvel for, 8 years now, and this is the first time I've met you? I mean, that's ridiculous.
I've actually seen a picture of you, so I feel we're close, you know.
You've seen a picture of me and you still stayed at the job, did you? Well, that's incredible. Listen, it is great pleasure, really, to be here with you. I've been your fan for those 8 years, even though we haven't met. You're not only a penciler, you're an inker. You're even a nice guy. I don't know what you're doing around here.
You've been talking to the wrong people.
But anyway, Whilce, you've been doing the X-Men, right?
Yes, what they officially call the Uncanny X-Men.
That's right. Well, I was going to ask you about that. How many X-Men books are there now?
It seems like there's 5 million. Officially, there's Excalibur. There's X-Force. There's X-Factor. And there's Uncanny X-Men, and then there's X-Men.
Son of a...
But,
you mean the X-Men and the Uncanny X-Men are two different ones?
They're two different teams, but see, the team I'm working on, the Uncanny X-Men, or what we could call the original X-Men, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's made up of most of, it's Marvel Girl, Bobby Drake, Iceman, Warren Worthington. He's now the Archangel.
Oh, he's now the Archangel, right?
Yeah, he's a little more. It's sinister times, so he's got to be a little more sinister.
And who else is a part of the group?
She's not a part of the original team, but there's Storm. She took after Scott, so you could say she's Scott's stand-in.
You know, I just had a very depressing thought. If anybody is watching this who doesn't know the X-Men, we've been talking gibberish for the past couple of minutes. But anyway, I want to talk to you, and I want to know all about you. But at the same time, I want to show a lot of your artwork. So for those who are not familiar with Whilce Portacio's artwork, would you like to just hold something there up and let them see just the extent of your talent? I don't want to embarrass you, but you have a few things here I think people might like to look at.
Okay, actually, what I wanted to show here, what a lot of people don't get to see, are some of the different steps.
Well, let's let them get to see it.
Like, for instance, I don't know if they can see this, but this is what we call a pencil sketch, and this is done full size. We actually do it this size, 11 by 17, so that when they shrink it down comic book size, it hides all the mistakes.
With your case, there aren't too many. Now, let's just mention, this is your artwork.
Yeah, this is...
I mean, you didn't just grab a page from somewhere. You drew this. Okay.
But, okay, this is what they call a pencil. So these are just what it means. I took a pencil and I drew these. And then someone like Scott Williams comes along and he inks it. And I don't know if you can really see it, but what's neat is when you know, artists are personalities among themselves. When you get a penciler and an inker that gel together, who, you know, kind of like good friends.
That's the result.
Yeah, and see, if you look real close, it's pretty much exactly what I penciled. And I mean, you know, artists or temperamental, everything has to be perfect.
Yeah, I know, it's tough talking to you. You're just riddled with temperament. You're a tough guy.
Notice the brows.
Let me ask you this, Whilce. You used to be an inker, didn't you? You started as an inker.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough to be a penciler, so I filled in as an inker.
Well, you sure learned quickly. Now, of course, the penciler does it in pencil. The reason the drawings are inked so that they end up like this is that's the way they have to be for the engraver. They can't engrave the drawings if they're just in pencil, or not as well.
Right, I mean, if you've ever, I mean, you're in school, take your #2 pencil and you scribble, you get a nice tone. And, okay, this is a Xerox of the original pencils, and you'll see it doesn't pick it up as one different. Yeah, the camera doesn't pick it up as one flat tone. So inker has to come in and actually he has a tough part because you get shades and stuff like this where I can just ease up on the pencil and it goes to gray, goes to white, and you have a little fun, you know, easy time. The inker actually, because he lays down an ink line and it's there. So he's got to come up with like little hatches, what they call, or cross hatches, to recreate what I'm doing in pencil. So
I see what you mean. In pencil, you can get all sorts of tones of gray, shades of gray,
very
depending
easily
how heavily or lightly you lean on the pencil. But with ink, you've just got that black India ink. So to make it gray, you've got to have thin lines with little space between them, and so forth. The inking, there's another interesting thing about inking, an inker can make a penciler's work look better, can make it look worse, or can make it look about the same. The inker has a lot of power in that respect. And but since this isn't really a course in comic book art, I see you have something else there that might be interesting for people to look at.
I like to concentrate on structure. And this is a cover I did for the certain character, and this was going to be painted. And so the painter had to see what was underneath everything, because what a painter does is he with color, with dark values, with light values, he creates volume, he creates depth. So in order to create that, he has to know what he's creating.
Right.
You know, so that's what this is. This is basically a preliminary drawing with all the muscles outlined and everything, so that he'll know exactly. It's kind of like a map. He knows exactly where everything is.
A guide for the
right.
colorer, yeah.
And then I come in.
Here's the good part.
And then I fully pencil it, showing him what kind of lighting I wanted to create a mood. Because I mean, you know, you could stretch the character, the pose and everything, and make him look dynamic and everything. But
you know something? This is like an actor reading lines without expression.
Right.
This is like the actor reading the lines, but now you have the expression and you have the emphasis.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where I have the most fun, just creating a mood.
So the first thing you do is just do the basic drawing, but then with your shading and your lighting, you can emphasize what you want and you can play up what you want and get the drama. And also, and now you say this was actually colored.
This was supposed to be painted.
And it wasn't?
No, well, it's still here.
Oh, you mean they paint right over this drawing?
There are different methods, and for this piece, if it went through all the stages, it would have been painted on the actual piece itself.
Well, let's pause for a moment with the artwork, because we don't want to spoil the viewer too much, but just give him too many wonderful things. And let me ask a little bit about you for a moment, Whilce. Where are you from originally?
I was born in the Philippines, the Philippine Islands. But see, my father, who is Filipino too, my whole family is Filipino, so we're pure Filipino. He's in the U.S. Navy. So when I was 2 years old, we were transferred to the States and all around the Pacific Rim, all around the West Coast. So I've always been a West Coast laid-back kind of guy. But when I got into high school, I started entering contests, national
drawing
awards,
contests,
poster contests, because I think that's one thing. I've seen so many young artists who have a lot of talent, but no confidence.
Yeah.
So they're always second guessing themselves.
Yeah.
So they take a nice drawing and they change it because they don't feel it's right yet. That really kind of hurts me. I mean, because there's so much talent there, and it could be wasted depending on which way the guy goes. So I entered a lot of contests, and I hope a lot of kids would enter poster contests, yearbook cover contests. If there's a National Scholastic Art Awards show, which I entered all the time, when you start winning those, then you start building the confidence, and you start getting sure of yourself as an artist.
How old were you when you knew you wanted to draw, when you started doing it?
When I was in first grade. You know how the teacher comes around, gives you a piece of paper, gives you crayons, and says, "All right, kids, draw something." So everybody would draw something. Teacher will come around, "Oh, Patty, that's real nice. What is it?" And the kid will explain. She goes, "Oh yeah, Bobby, what's that?" And again, I go. She came to me. I remember she came to me and she goes, "Oh wow, Will, did you see the Saturn V rockets lift off yesterday?" And I go, "Yeah." See, so that kind of clicked that. Everybody else, you had to ask, "What are you drawing?" But she knew what I was drawing, so from there I started.
So you said, "Hey, I think I've got something."
Yeah.
Isn't that something? So you always knew you wanted to draw, huh?
Yeah, actually, one thing kind of, I don't know if you can follow this, but it's also with the way I like to draw. It's also tied in with the way I like to construct story or approach a script. I like to analyze things, and I like when things fall into piece. Together.
Yeah.
Like for instance, a body is made up, of shoulders, biceps, triceps, forearms, and all those pieces go together to make a whole. And when they better, yeah. But when they fall in together, then for me, it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I loved geometry because you get that triangle and everything's there except one little angle or one little length of a line,
Yeah.
and you got to figure that out. And I always loved just when things fell into place.
You know, it's interesting. I've interviewed a number of artists now on this world-famous series of ours, and most people think an artist is a guy who has some talent. He can draw, you know, it comes out good. Everybody I've interviewed, and of course I'm only interviewing the greats, everybody, they're real deep thinkers about this stuff. It isn't just, well, I can draw and there it is and there's a picture, but there seems to be almost a philosophy behind it. And I know it'll sound corny, almost a poetry. I mean, there is something, it means so much to the artist, and it's so much more than just, well, I drew a picture, I filled up a space, now I'll get paid. You know, and it's interesting. Let me ask you one other thing. This is really apart from everything else, but we've had a number of Filipino artists working for us at our comic book company and our animation studio. I would say just about all of them are superb artists. And is there something special about the Philippines? I mean, do they concentrate on artwork there or something? We get more Filipino good artists than from any other country.
I think, you know, and you know, this is just me supposing.
I know you can't talk for the whole country.
Right. But real briefly, the Philippines has been conquered and conquered and conquered and conquered by the Japanese, by the Spaniards, everybody. So the mood in the Philippines has always been what I call apolitical. You know, they've seen governments come and go, no matter how drastic. So everybody concentrates on personalities, on relationships. And I think any artist is actually boiled down that. He's showing himself. You know, in every drawing he does, I mean, a confident artist is constantly showing how he thinks the world is. I mean, if he's in a depressed mood, he'll show depressed drawings. But he's, again, showing himself. And the Philippines is very much like that. It's very emotional.
Oh, that's the word, because there's a lot of emotion in all of your artwork, and all of the Filipino artists I know, there is emotion in it. There's a lot of feeling.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about the Philippines is that with the language, you can talk for 10 minutes, you can talk for an hour, and not really say anything. But there's a lot of
like
emotions. But see, you're one of the best.
But there is that emotion there.
Yeah, it's the emotion. So I think that carries through with people who seem to have a talent, or you know, if you believe in God-given talents, they're in this society which is very emotional, and when you do something nice, everybody reacts. Your friends are always there. So again, like what we were discussing earlier, the confidence builds early. Yeah. Because you always, I mean, everybody always jokes with Asian families that you always have 5 million relatives. And I actually went to the Philippines and, you know, meet a nice girl, talk a bit, get along real well. Mom comes in, oh, I'd like to introduce you to your cousin here.
I know what you mean. Well, that's great. And your dad was in the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I actually got to see a lot of different places that I wouldn't have naturally have seen.
Got an interesting background. Well, I don't want to keep people in suspense too long. You know, we're going to get to your artwork. We're going to get you over to that drawing board in just a minute. But I just want to ask you one last thing. You just got back from the Philippines, didn't you? You were touring. And what were you doing there?
That was very interesting because you know, you always hear that the Philippines is a depressed economy, and everything's going wrong there. Last summer, a comic book dealer came over to the United States, and he invited me over, fly me over there, and do a couple shows. I went to the Philippines, and they met me at the airport. I had a reception at one of the camp, one of the military camps. Yeah. I did TV shows, I did radio shows, I did interviews. They really love American comics there.
Yeah. You know something? They seem to love it. Love American comics all over the world.
Yeah.
I've had the same experience. You know, they don't throw big parties for me, but wherever I go, they're into American comics, and comic books especially.
I think it's that glimmer of hope that that you should try to put into everything. That you know, as bad as anything gets, you can survive. You can achieve.
Well, speaking of comic books, I think we're now going to let you do what you do best. We're going to get you over to that drawing board. I know everybody's been waiting for it, and we're going to see you draw. And even if everybody hasn't been waiting, I am eagerly waiting to do that. So you think you can make it from here to there? I know you're probably all wired up with microphones and stuff. What do you say we try it?
Let me loosen
do
the
it without
chain.
tripping. I'm going to take my little notes over here. Okay. Here we are. We have everything set for you. We have 5 pens, and we have some illustration board, which is very expensive, so treat it well.
Looks like an operating room.
That's right. I'll be the nurse, and I'll hand you the instruments if you wish. Here's a nice little, which I can't get off the tape. There you go.
It's
pen.
called Sharpies.
All right. Now, what do you say? What do you say we start out? We'll start out simply, and then we're going to get real complicated with you. How about a face? How about showing us a simple little face, and then what you would do to give it all the drama that we'd want in a comic book, preferably a Marvel comic book.
Okay, I'll start with what I call a line drawing of a face, and then I'll show the exaggerations of everything, but then I'll show. Then I'll add in shading and everything like that to show the what that does to a drawing.
You're going to do this right out of your head? Amazing.
So we start out with a eye.
What makes you start with an eye?
Oh,
I mean, that's right in the middle of the face. Don't you start with the outside or the top?
It's like what you said. It's the window to the world. So it's got to be
That's
great.
great. Do you always start with the eye, or you just feel like at the moment?
No, I would like to be. I would like to think I'm temperamental. So whatever hits me at the moment.
So right now you're starting with an eye. Another time you might start with a nose or a wisdom tooth. Okay,
Ooh,
I won't interrupt you. Go ahead. Let's hear your thought process.
I'm
while
actually
you do it.
gonna might get braces, so I might start. You might see some weird teeth in the X-Men from now on. But you start out with whatever you want, and I love constructing things. So what I'll do is what we call line drawings. I'll delineate everything. I'll like in the piece I showed earlier.
Yeah.
I'll outline everything so that I'll have a basis. It'll be like I have a palette, a map to work with when I try to create, I'm adding the shading to create a mood. So you got to have eyes. So we got eyes. You got to have a schnauzer. So
you're real good at anatomy. You know that the nose comes between the eyes, right?
Yeah, that's one thing a lot of people don't really know. See, as an artist, since we don't have models in front of us, we have to construct everything. We have to see everything in our head. So like when we're doing an arm, the bicep is in the front, guys, tricep is in the back, split up into 3 groups. There's an elbow underneath that. Everything has to fall in place. So while we're drawing, even though we're not consciously voicing out all those little rules and whatever you want to call them, we're constantly thinking about those.
That's interesting. An artist in comic books doesn't use models, unlike many advertising artists and illustrators.
Yeah, they cheat.
Yeah. So you've really got to have it in your head.
Yeah.
Do you find when you draw, you're almost tracing an image that you have in your mind? I mean, do you see the picture in your mind before you draw it?
The best drawings are drawings that you see.
In your mind?
In your mind. When you're not drawing, when you don't see it in your head, you're ad-libbing. And that actually can be real fun too, because if it does come out great, then it's, wow, what an accomplishment. I didn't know what I was doing, and it's like stand-up, Yeah. And the crowd's just not working with you. But then something happens, you just say something and they react to it, and then you just jump on that.
I got you.
So that's actually a lot of drawing, just playing with what you have. And that's actually the funnest part, just seeing where everything goes.
I'm trying to, but if you keep talking with your hands, we're never going to. Oh, Lordy, this is good.
Okay, so let's have him screaming.
He looks very intense, doesn't he?
Yeah, so let's have him screaming. So
this is not a happy guy.
Yeah. Oh, and kids, don't try this. If you stretch your mouth out this big, something bad might happen. Yeah. But like all comics are, well, the best comics are exaggeration because we're doing fantastical people in fantastic situations. Actually, that's one of my little philosophies. We have these fantastic heroes. I mean, Bobby Drake can turn into ice. Archangel has these metal wings that not only can he fly, but they can slice through things.
That's fantastic.
From the people you hang out, that might be normal everyday things. But so one of my little things, or whatever you want to call it, is to take these fantastic situations with these fantastic people and try to ground them in some kind of reality.
Draw.
You know, real light logic, real looking buildings, or things
That's right.
that you know, things that aren't real, but somehow make them look real
You
by adding
combine
clues.
the reality with
Right.
the fantasy.
Right, so that when you
No,
look
I
at
can use my hands, but you keep drawing. I'll talk with my hands,
actually,
you talk with
where
your
the
mouth.
chains. But if at least I feel that if you can somehow ground them in reality, not too much reality, because you know this is fantasy. Everything is larger than life. But if you can somehow ground it in some kind of reality, then the kids, I would think, would be saying, wow, that's what it would look like if it were real.
I know what you mean. And you can talk so sweet and draw something so horrifying. That's incredible. Now look, I don't want to act like I'm smarter than anybody else, but I'm going to guess that's a villain. What do you think, huh? Now, people will think
actually,
you told me.
With the current trends, though,
Yeah, you don't
never
know. You're right, you don't know. That's great.
It's a tough.
I think the amazing thing, I've got to tell everybody watching that he is not drawing over any hidden blue lines. This wasn't pre-sketched or anything, and it's coming out. You know, when you said kids don't try this, I thought you were going to say, our screamers are professionals and they're well trained, but don't you try this.
Actually, you know, Marvel screamers are screamers into themselves. But here I'm trying to construct everything. So you know, you got your two eyes, you got your nose, you got your teeth, you got your mouth, so that I'm trying to lay down a map, a groundwork for what I'm going to be doing later on, which is shading. And actually, another point, one of the best things any artist can do, whether he's just a beginning artist or whether he's a quote-unquote professional artist, is to constantly draw. If you constantly draw, then it doesn't really become second nature.
How come I can't get you to constantly draw? Keep drawing and keep telling us about the second nature. You've got a camera. That camera is so expensive, and it's concentrating on this, and all it's getting is a hand going like that. Now you keep drawing and tell me all about it. See if you can do that. What did they say about the guy?
Where's the gum? Where's the gum?
Yeah, I was going to say he couldn't talk and chew gum at the same time. I'm going to teach you to draw and talk at the same time. Whilce, if you keep going and you draw any more of this, you're going to terrify the whole human race. We better stop. And the most important thing, how would you shade this to get the maximum amount of drama out of it?
Okay, like I said before, what you want to start out with is laying down a basic grid work, a map, so to speak. So you know where all the planes are, and what you want to do is shade them out. Okay, so this is a screamer guy. Okay, so he
obviously.
So you want a dark mood to it. So one of the easiest things is a light on top, casting shadows down. So let's try that.
You'll have a bulb up here, and it's casting the shadows down there. Go! Gives me such a feeling of power to say that.
Okay, good.
You have to be a contortionist to be an artist also, I can see that.
Oh, actually, I do some of my best drawings on the ground with my knees up
Really?
here. Actually,
Anybody ever tell you you're a very strange guy?
a lot of people tell me I'm not normal.
I didn't say that.
I like being different. I like being unique.
Well,
you
you're
know?
succeeding beautifully. All right, we're shading this guy in now, right?
You're right. The nose would cast down a shadow.
Coming from under the nose, right?
The eyes would
Under the
cast down a
eyes,
shadow.
yeah.
You want to add little accents underneath everything. Okay, like these are ridges. So the bottom of everything would catch everything. If the light was here, then these sides over here would be catching the dark shadow.
Gotcha, right.
And then this.
Don't make it look too easy, which you're doing, I must admit. You know, the funny thing is everything you're doing is really so right that when one watches you do it, the first thing one thinks of is, well, of course. I mean, that's the way I would do it. How else could you do it, you know? It's easy.
Well, see, I think that's the magic. I mean, I really believe that you should study life
Yeah.
And because when
Well, where are you going
like
to
you
find
said,
a guy like that to study?
no, but see, actually, what you do is everything is a composite of everything. These are, you know,
Right, right.
even though you don't, you know, on people, you don't see lighting and lines like this on everybody. It's
Or teeth like that.
Or teeth like that, right? It's representational
I know,
of what's
yeah,
what reality
yeah.
is all about.
But you see, it's a matter of taste also, and
Right.
of knowledge and of artistic ability, because even to know to leave it rough there and leave that white space, which is so much better than if you had blackened the whole inside of the mouth, right?
Right. Actually, that's actually this has been a trend right now to not actually fully blacken everything out, to act as if the top of the brows are reflecting off
But
light.
it's beautiful. It makes it look alive. And
Well, you can see so much more of it.
you could have destroyed me if you had said, well, actually, Stan, I was intending to blacken that in. I just didn't get around to it yet. Oh, that is great, Whilce. That really is.
So, actually, one of the things. Okay, this is a guy going crazy. So everything you want to do, every line. Well, not every line, but most of the lines you do, you want to emphasize that. So, let's give them.
Why the
long
new pen?
beer
Was that
stubble.
getting dry?
It
or-
was
Yep,
going.
Okay.
I actually murder all my pens. They
Yeah, I
hate
can
me.
see that.
They cringe when I walk into the art store.
Leave enough space to autograph it, because this one isn't getting away from me.
But
I
see-
think it's just terrific.
See, every line, since it's erratic, in an erratic character, in what you might call an unstable mind frame, everything has to delineate that, to show
Yeah.
that.
I'd say he's not well adjusted. Now, you're going to sign that, and then we have another treat for our viewers.
But then, on the other side of the spectrum, if I was drawing a nice, pretty girl who, the girl next door type, she would have very little lines, and she would be real soft.
We'll get to
subtle.
that. How do you sign your name?
This
I
has
wanna
been a
see.
bone of contention amongst everybody.
Really? Why is that?
You got to look real closely.
All right,
Watch
I'm
carefully.
watching. I'm watching.
Since this is a videotape, here's an extra. My full name is William Cashano Portacio. Now watch very closely.
I'm watching.
William Cashano Portacio.
Is that really the way you do it? That's wonderful.
Actually, and then just to make it a little special, what I do is I sign Whilce in Japanese.
In Japanese? Can you write Japanese?
No, I grew up a little bit in Hawaii, so I had a lot of Japanese
Son
friends.
of a
so they
gun.
taught
Oh,
me
that's
how to
great.
do that.
All right. Somebody would have to kill to get this away from me. I'm keeping that. I think it's wonderful. And I'm glad you signed it. And it goes right on the wall. You owe me some money, because I'll have to pay money to have it framed. But I'll send you the bill later. Now, the surprise I promised everybody. How about, I know we don't have too much time. We've got about 15 minutes of tape left. But how about trying to do as much as you can of a complete comic book page, just so people would see how you think about it, what goes into it. You've got a page to do. A hero is chasing a villain, okay? The chase starts here, and it's going to end on the bottom of the page where he catches the villain. I'm going to leave the rest of it up to you. You now have 14 minutes. Go. What's taking you so long?
Okay, first
ahead.
thing I do is
But keep drawing while you talk.
first thing
Okay.
I do is in my head. Okay, I think out the basics of the whole thing. Okay, first we'll establish where they are. Okay, let's say
They're in a box.
they're in a box. Okay, let's say the villain is on top of a building. So, there's the villain, and the hero is just nonchalantly walking down the street. So we've established relationships where
Okay.
they are.
This would be the first
Now
panel?
this is actually just what I'm thinking in my head.
Oh, where it's taking place. You're
Right,
setting
I'm
the
trying to
scene.
construct it in my
Gotcha.
head.
Okay.
Okay, so then let's say we want to then go to the villain voicing out a challenge.
Yeah.
You know,
That's him shouting. That's his open mouth.
right.
Okay.
Then I guess you want the hero reacting. He wouldn't be smiling, but this is just these are just pretty much notes for my head.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you want him reacting. And then let's.
I guess the chase has to begin at some point.
let's say he has a surprise. I mean, because you know, like if you forewarn your victim, then you lose the point of surprise. So let's say he set something up. So like, I think what we want to do is expand this shot to show that there's something up. Let's say that he has little henchmen in the background.
The villain.
In front of the hero.
Okay. Heroes never
while he
have
turns
henchmen.
around.
Villain only.
Villains always have henchmen.
Okay.
Sitting, they're on top of a building,
Right.
and let's say they're destroying the structure of the building so that it falls out. So you
Great. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
And
This is the bottom row now.
right. Well, you're just constructing the scene.
All right.
And then let's have. Then you have to obviously show the building falling, you know, breaking up, and the hero falling in the trap.
Falling
now, how is he
through.
going to get out of
Right.
it?
You telling me?
And then you, then we can show the villain. This is all scratch gobbledygook, but it's
Really? I thought
it's shorthand
these were
for
finished
myself.
drawings.
Oh,
I see. I thought that was the finished artwork.
Then what we could do is show the villain looking down at the scene and looking at the mess, and you know, smoke flying
Take
off.
that, you rat.
Yeah, and then the henchman setting up, ha ha ha, you know, our villain. And then we can have show the villain, I mean the hero actually come up behind him, come up behind the villain and capture him.
While the villain was gloating, the hero snuck up behind him.
Well, what the hero did was go through the whole building, come back up through the building behind him,
And you've got all that in your mind
Okay,
from
so-
these ridiculous sketches,
right.
right?
From,
Okay.
So this is actually just representation of what I'm seeing, what the basic bones logistics of the whole.
The bare
whole-
bones, right?
The bare bones
Okay.
of everything.
It's not the chase that I suggested,
No.
but it's a lot more interesting. Go.
Okay, now the next step, then, at least for me, is where's the emphasis? Where do I want the exclamation points in the scenes?
That makes sense.
Now,
yeah. Because every panel can't have equal weight and equal importance.
right. If every shot was big and every shot was exciting, then it would get boring
It's
after
like
a
a
while.
singer singing nothing but high notes.
Right.
Wouldn't mean anything.
Right, you want to creep up on on the reader and surprise them
Right.
with not boring shots, but shots that are quote unquote quiet.
And then suddenly, bang!
Right, a lot of ways you can do that. Okay, well, first let's pick emphasis. Obviously, this will be an emphasis shot. It's the last gloating, you know, the hero wins. So that would be one. Let's make the challenge another emphasis.
Which just seems like two faces there now, but I have a
Right.
feeling when you're through with it,
Yeah, so there are different ways you can do that. You could do bigger shots and everything else real small. You could change the borders or everything. Okay, so let's do the establishing shot. You want a boring not a boring establishment, but you want
quiet.
a quiet shot. So actually, this is a nice shot where we have.
We have 10 minutes is what we have. Now you're going to be able to finish this in 10 minutes? I don't mean to put you under this, but yes, I do. I do mean to put you under this pressure. You know, I wish
That's
I
your
could
editorial training.
make the people watching this really know and understand, and I promise you it's the truth. We have not rehearsed this. Whilce did not know what I was going to ask. Whilce has not done this. I'm catching him cold. Neither of us know how it's going to turn. Well, I know darn well it'll turn out good because I know how good you are. But he's really just making this up as he goes along, and I think that's what's really so fascinating about it. There's no way you'll have it finished in 10 minutes, but anyway, we'll see.
We'll give it the Marvel try.
Okay.
See what happens. Okay, so basically want to establish the hero that he's on building. So
You can tell he's
set
a
up the
hero because
wall.
he's not snarling, right?
And then maybe silhouettes of New York City in the background.
Okay. That's a great silhouette. I know that building.
Maybe this could be the little elevator shaft. There's a door, you know. You want to add in a lot of details. Okay,
Laundry
this is
on the
New York
clothesline?
laundry.
Yeah. That shirt looks like one of mine.
And then maybe for the villain, since you're going to be showing him in the next shot.
You don't show too much of him. He's
yeah,
smaller in the background?
Yeah, he could be just a silhouette.
Right. Very
You know.
menacing and mysterious.
Yeah, with his hand out, his feet splayed. Maybe he could have a cape flying in.
Oh, naturally.
Everybody.
And when you
knows
draw a cape, you don't kid around. That's a great composition.
Okay, so it's a simple panel. Nothing too exciting is happening. But see, that's what's happening here. Nothing too
Pretty
explosive
exciting.
is
I'm afraid
happening.
that thing's going to fall off the clothesline. But I know what you mean. Yeah, right.
Okay, so then let's add in detail. Okay, we
And you
said
were
that
going
these
to make
two.
these points of emphasis. These are going
Right.
to be an exclamation point, right?
Now, what's been kind of the trend is, you know how like in movies, you have background music. You know, like
Right.
Jaws coming up, dun 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 dun. We don't have music. We don't. We don't. No. We have sound
Oh.
effects. We have sound
Yeah,
effects.
I've missed
But we
that.
don't have We don't have music. But we do have borders. Okay, so.
So you can get a lot of drama and a lot of effect
Okay,
with
so
your borders.
right. Okay, so we're having a shot where the villain is voicing out a challenge.
Right.
And that you know, that's something not tragic, but it's something
Scary.
and
Oh,
exciting.
I'm scared. Yeah.
So if you want to break it up like this, then you know you can say like the borders, the panel borders are scared
they
too.
dum-dum-bum.
They're scared too. So
I never thought of it that way. The border is scared too. This border isn't as scared as this one, right? Okay,
now,
we have a
obviously
scared border.
Obviously, he's wickedly smiling.
Yeah. All right, this is the villain issuing, notice how beautifully he said that, issuing the challenge with inside within a scared border. And
one
nobody
thing-
watching this has ever heard that before.
One thing I like to do with close-ups, because this is technically a close-up. It's a close-up of a face. Is to take the prior panel and use that as, you know, for instance, you have cameras set up.
Right.
And what I like to do is just take that same camera in the same position and just zoom in. So since this guy, so the camera is down here eye level and he's up there, you zoom in, you kind of see an upshot. So you see his nostrils, you know, if he's cleaned them
You know, it's
lately or
been
not.
mentioned many times in the past, but what you do is so akin to what a movie director does, you know, because basically you are directing the story. You're keep drawing. You're determining the angles. You're determining what to emphasize, from what pose to show it, with close-up, long shot, back view, front view. You are a movie director of your own strip.
That's actually one of my goals. To
be a director?
And I see.
Not till you've done a few more strips for us. But I could
Oh
see
well,
that.
I'll just do superheroes. I'll do
great.
the X-Men. Okay, so the next shot is obviously him reacting, so him turning around. Now since you've established a villain, now we're looking at the hero from the villain's viewpoint.
Gotcha.
And since he's up there, he's looking down. That's also psychologically he's looking down on a character.
Exactly,
So
right.
he's kind of in he's at the disadvantage.
Well, I think it's obvious to everybody by now that a lot of thought goes into this. And we have 10 minutes to go. I don't want to make you nervous, but I hope you're getting nervous. And you notice this border is a nice straight border because the hero isn't yelling a challenge, right?
Right.
So it isn't an alarming border. I wondered why they called you Borders, Portacio. Now I know.
So you know, by that you want contrast.
Exactly.
If everything was, I mean, you could make a case in point that he's obviously flustered because who's this guy shouting at me? But you know, if his panel borders were, you know, erratic too, then you know it would nullify the
This
the
one
impact.
wouldn't have stood out as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's turning around, and we can use little ciphers. You know, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He moves, yeah, whoosh, so there's lines flowing back. Okay. So at that moment, now he's looking at the villain behind him. He doesn't see what's happening in front of him. So we have the line of the building, and then we have little henchmen with.
And they're the villain's henchmen.
I don't know, power drills or something like that.
Or they could be electric saws. What are those saws that the villains always use in the movies?
Chainsaws?
Chainsaws, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Oh boy, they look like villains' henchmen, even the way they're standing.
So,
right.
So since I've established that these two guys already are holding the, and then you show action lines, you show explosion. I mean, you show special effects. That's actually one of the names of the games now. Now, since I've showed two people,
movement and action there.
Since I've already showed two of them, I can actually just draw heads or bits and pieces of it, and you get the idea that there's a lot of them back there. But you don't see every little thing happening. And then to emphasize that a little more, maybe even draw the good old Kirby action lines.
And when you put the dialogue balloons in, you have the room. You can cover that, you can cover that, you can cover that. You probably put his dialogue balloon over here or somewhere.
Okay, so then now
we've got about 7 minutes to go.
Now we want to show him falling through. That's easy. You've already established that they're on a building. You already established that they're wrecking wrecking it. So something's happening to it.
And
so
nothing has happened yet, but you have the feeling of action and motion and things happening. Okay.
So now I can just show bits and pieces, and if these bits and pieces look like these bits and pieces, then
tie it in your mind.
Right. You don't have to be flagrant with everything. Actually, that's kind of boring, where everything is from the same shot. You see everybody full.
Right.
You want to show action and emotion and So you show your hero.
You do your sound effects too. Huh?
So you show your hero falling. Obviously not standing, so he's obviously falling. And then if you want, you add in again a little more action lines. So he's falling, and then we want to do another panoramic shot, kind of. Actually, I got it. Because see, we're running out of space here, but see, we also wanted to emphasize the last shot.
Right.
So we'll do that this way. We'll actually stretch this out all the way to the bottom. So that's actually better, because then you show that he's actually falling through a lot.
That's right. It's a
it
deeper
seems
fall,
more of a
fall.
danger.
Right.
Oh, and another thing here is, see this close-up overlaps this because he's imposing on his space. He's saying the challenge.
I got it. I can see that.
Okay, so now let's do this shot where we have the villain with a huge grin on his face. You're looking at him from the back, and he's surveying the damage that he's wrought, and he's obviously happy with himself.
What hath Dr. Doom wrought? Except that's not Dr. Doom.
I love Dr. Doom.
I know, me too. But he's one happy villain at that point, isn't he?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so
I think you're going to make this. We've got maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, so
4 minutes.
Okay, again, now since we're establishing something again, we're establishing a status quo. The first status quo was that you got him up here, you got him over here, and they're all pretty much hunky-dory now.
Right.
Now everything's kind of messed up. So now, since you've already established the little creatures, you don't have to show them all. You show them, like holding their little power drills, raising them up, hoo, 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 hoo. They're having a great time because they've foiled the. So there's the big hole.
It's a great page design so far. Now we get the big one, the big exclamation point.
Okay, now you're going, okay, wait a minute. Okay, this space is the same as this space. So how does this going to be emphasized?
By the border?
By the absence of a border.
The absence, there'll be an open panel, no border. My God, you're brilliant. Okay.
So
you're brilliant, and you got 3 minutes. Now you're going to prove you're brilliant.
Okay, so...
Hey, this is fun. We're turning this into a contest. I mean, this is exciting.
Okay, so we've established this, right? So let's add little bits and pieces of this in a little brick.
We're back again
little detail. There. And show the the hero.
2.5 minutes. I don't want to make you nervous. 2 1/3 minutes. I've never seen anybody do anything like this so fast, and it looks so good. We must tell the people watching, this is not the finished drawing. These are the layouts, the rough layouts, right? Having done this, which you would do in pencil normally, you then go over it and tighten it up.
I actually have a lot more fun laying out.
Yeah,
Because
I can see
I
that.
draw every day, so it becomes not. It doesn't become easy, but it's something. It's like a friend. It's there all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not too exciting for me. I like creating the different moods with. So essentially, you draw the villain. Ow! What happened to my plans? And his arms flailing. Ah! What do you do?
I like flailing arms. I've always been into that.
And then you show bits and pieces of bricks and stuff falling off of him.
And we all notice there is no border on that panel, which emphasizes that panel.
Right.
You did that with time to spare. We have about another couple of minutes or so. That's sensational. Now, what you were talking about when you drew this, these little thoughts that go into your head, most of that is pretty subliminal when you do a page. I mean, you're not thinking about it that definitely, but it's just part of you. It's instinctive. I mean, you couldn't do it the wrong way because a little alarm would come off. Hey, wait a minute, I can't make this the same as this. But you don't have to say, I'm not going to make this the same as this. It's part of your training. It's part of your knowledge and your talent.
A lot of that comes with just doing it every day. I mean, that's very important. Once you do something all the time, every day, it doesn't become, it becomes natural. It becomes unconscious.
People have asked me, they say, well, don't these artists get stale? I mean, they're drawing the same strip every day, or maybe a different strip, but they're sitting every day drawing pictures. After a while, don't they not want to look at a picture anymore? How do you feel about that? I've been meaning to ask that.
Well, actually, it's true, and I think it's true for any profession. I actually go home and I work 10:30 to 5:30.
10:30 in the morning to
5:30 afternoon, and I come home and I'll either go out with friends, see movies. I'm very interested in movies. Play my guitar, sing and wake everybody up and make it rain.
When you say you come home, you don't work at home. You work in a studio somewhere?
Yeah, we actually have what the modern equivalent to the bullpen. That you created. It's called Homage Studios, and in the studio.
Is that in San Diego?
In San Diego. So we get a lot of sun, we get a lot of surf.
It's great.
But Jim Lee's in there, Scott Williams is in there, I'm in there. We have a fantastic painter, Joe Chido. He's in there. He's actually working on Daredevil Black Widow piece. And other artists have been invited over, and other artists have expressed interest in coming in. So we'll be expanding our space.
Oh, that
and
sounds
it's just a great. It's a great feeling.
And it's fun.
Yeah, everybody's there, and you feel. One thing I always tell everybody is that, well, one thing that my teacher in high school taught me: if you feel as an artist that you know everything, then I'm sorry, you're dead as an artist. And it's just great to have Jim there, Scott there. We have assistants there. Other people come in to visit. It's great because everybody approaches everything differently. Like this scene right here, we could emphasize this panel.
That's right.
And we could emphasize this, and it would be the same scene, but slightly different.
To me, that's what's so wonderful about artwork and about writing. No two people do it the same way, and that doesn't mean that the two different ways couldn't each be. Again, it's like a movie.
Right.
You have one director direct a story, and it'll be totally different than the way another director will direct the same story. They might both be good. You'll prefer this or that, and with artwork, it's the same way. And I think that's one of the exciting things about the comic book business. And the way comics have become now, they become like movies in the sense that years ago, nobody knew who drew it. When I say years ago, I mean 50 years ago. Nobody knew who drew a strip or who wrote it. But now, I mean, there are Whilce Portacio fan clubs. And, people know, as there are with the other artists and writers. And it's become a real art form with fans, with people who care. There'll be people who will love having seen this. And I hope they'll love it. as much as I loved having you here today, Whilce. I cannot tell you what a pleasure this has been, and I think you've made it abundantly clear why you were invited to the Comic Book Greats. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thanks. And I can't wait to get that thing home and get it framed. I'm running out of wall space, but I'll find a place to do it. Hey, we did it.